This time here in Yerushalmi Yoma, the article edition we're on Daf Lamed Aleph and Rav. First line, Gachle Yochel Omamos, which is in the Vilna on Daf Chav Dalet and Rav, the fifth line down. First word in line, Gachle Yochel Omamos. So the pasuk is, Lakach Below Machta, the Kohen Gadol take a shovelful of Gachle Eish, now Mizbech of coals of fire from the top of the Zech Lifnei Hashem, etc. So, and this gachale, these coals. What's the status of these coals? Yochel omamos, are they omamos, which means, as the commentator puts it, that they already have a layer of ash on them. The kehos shaloha efer alehem. The Talmud Eish, no, it says Eish, fire. Eish yochel shalhebes, perhaps they have to actually have a flame. It has to be coal which is actually has fire coming out of it. Talmud gachle eish. No, it says not eish, but gachle eish. Coals of fire. Hakeitzamia lochashos. You take from those which are literally means whispering. In other words, they're burning. You can whispering coals is a term which you use for burning coals, and they're not actually emitting a flame, but I guess red hot would be the word to put it. And how we know, like we said yesterday, that the fire should be negated, consumed when you remove the coals. In other words, this maracha is specifically for the purpose of the taking in the Ketores into Kodesh Kodashim, and once those coals are removed, that's it. It's finished. Tam Omar Gach Leish, as we call it, Pnei Moshe Yestei Klomak Shiyasir Hagei Cholim. Betela zu haish. When there's no gecholim, there ain't no more aish either. That's he said that twice actually. He said that yesterday. That was the quote for yesterday. We had it before yesterday. And here it says again. Nashe aish betela klama shezum arocha bifnei atzmi shesmen gecholim betela hi kedamron. Okay, so the where comes further and discusses Yotzei, so which goes outside the mechitzas. Rabbi Shua ben Levi Amar Ein lechem panim nitzal b'shas masos. When they are traveling, lechem apanim, this is constant in the mizbeach, even while they're traveling, does not become possible, even though the mechitzas to the base of the Mishkan were not in place, not intact. Rabbi Yochanan Amar lechem panim nitzal b'shas masos. No, it's considered to be Yotzei at the time of the masos. It's because there are no mechitzas, so therefore it's outside the confines of the Mishkan. And the Gemara brings psukim to prove the point. Rabbi Chia b'shem Mishua ben Levi said, "Kasher yachanu keniso." As they camp, so too they travel, which has to do with the order of the shvatim. But we darshan ma b'chaniyosem eno nifsal, just like when they are camped. The lechem apart does not become possible. But the yosem eno nifsal, so too when they're traveling, it does become possible. Rabbi Yerushalmi Yoma ben Levi said, a different drasha, v'nasa omein machaneh levim b'tocha machanos. It says that the Moed, which is the camp of Levim, travels within the other machanos. In other words, within the other shvatim. But we darshan ki b'tocha machanos is as if it's intact and inside the machanos. Okay, so now Gemara goes to a similar discussion. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yaakov Hashem Rabbi Lezer said, "Hasoev kachim b'chutz." Somebody who burns kachim outside, b'shas masos. At the time of masos is loike. Says Pnei Moshe, "Mishum nechsiv b'kodesh ba'esh tisafenu." It says in the holy place in fire you should burn a kol shepsula b'kodesh. Anytime it becomes possible in the kodesh, plus a b'kodesh. Shas masos gankim psula b'kodesh nikra. And to the time of the kodesh, it's to the time of masos, it's also called psula b'kodesh. Now you see, he's saying that by definition, when you're traveling, it's considered to be a shas b'chutz. And therefore, if you serve kach at that time, you're loke. The Ritbaz brings down the girsa the sharei korban, and Reb Chaim goes with this girsa that it's supposed to say ha'ochel kachim mechutz mishas masos loke, and because that's considered to be eating outside. The Chaim posits, he suggests, that it's only talking about kachim kachim, because it's kachim kalim, which we in Machne Yisrael, that's not batel. Atayim masos. In other words, what's batel shas masos the mechitza of the Mishkan, because there is no mechitza, but the concept of the Machne Levia Machne Yisrael, that's not batel, which is an interesting dichotomy. And according to Reb Chaim, the following Rabbi Yochanan comes to support this dichotomy. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Kachim nidchim b'shas masos." The kachim are nidchim b'shas masos, meaning you can't eat or burn kachim at the time of masos because it's to be mechutz machane. But tmeim, the prushim kol echad mechor mechitzas in the tmeim, meaning the people who are mishtalech mechutz machane levia, the people mishtalech mechutz machane Yisrael. The Zavim, Mitzrayim, etc. They are also out have to maintain their distance at the time that the machnos are traveling. And so it fits in with the Chazal say at the end of Parshas B'Shach, well, actually it says in Parshas Kitese, in Parshas Sacha, that all Nechsholim Acharecha were the ones who were Elishapaltas on Anan, the ones which are outside the Anan, because evidently they're Mishtalech Mechutz Machane at that point, even though they were traveling. Okay, so the so it's again the Tmei Pushim Koach Lecham Mechitzos are people who have to stay outside the Machane even at the time of the travels. Rabbi Yossi argues, Rabbi Yossi, Tedira HaMilsa B'Fumon D'Rabbanan. This was a constant statement which is constantly in the mouths of the rabbis. That Nistalka Paroches, once the Paroches was removed, in other words, they packed it away for traveling, Hucha Mechitzos, L'Zavin Mitzrayim. No, they're allowed to come in. They're allowed to come into the Machnos. Mastisim Sa'iladein, Mastisim Sa'iladein. They have brises which seem to support both opinions. Now, the both opinions are not the opinions we just had, but the opinions we had above, which is the Machlekes Lechem Apanim and between Rabbi Shimon Levi and Rabbi Yochanan, where the Lechem Apanim is Nifsa B'Shas Masos. And the Shaita so reversed the Girsa we're about to have, and I'm going to go with their Girsa, even though if you look at if you have the Vilna Shas, you look at goes Hagrim Nechad Agra, he goes with the Girsa which we have in front of us, and the Reb Chaim also goes with the Girsa we have in front of us, but the Shaita so brings evidence to reverse Girsa from the Safra. So we'll go with that. So Mastisim Messiah Rabbi Yochanan, right? So it was Rabbi Yochanan, not Rabbi Shimon Levi. Tamid Afilu B'Shabbos, Tamid Apatuma. That it's considered to be Tamid Lechem Panim even on Shabbos. It has to be on it's on when it's on the table. I mean, the baking of the Tamid it pushes off Shabbos. So not the baking of the lechem pudding pushes off Shabbos. Tamid Apatuma and the baking the and baking of tummy is even b'shas tuma. I mean, the placement, the baking, it's all avoided. Lechem apanim. It's done even on Shabbos, even if it requires chil Shabbos, even tuma. Nevertheless, it's like the any other tuma b'tzibur. Now, the implication of this is that it's going on these two times, but not at the time of Masos. That's what Rabbi Yochanan says. At the time of Masos, it's possible. Like when it comes to possible b'shas Masos. The flip way of learning, if you don't change the gear, so it's interesting because Reb Chaim says it's going on not on the lechem panim. The Talmud here, of course, where Talmud appears many times, but says this Talmud is talking about Eish Talmud Tukam is Bech Lo Sichbeh, right? Is saying that which is going to be the statement, the subject of the next brisa. But in any event, he's saying that even also b'shas masos. Was the way the Gil Ephraim Shara Teresol learning it. It says Tamid in Shabbos, Tamid Tumah, but it's not Tamid Shas Masos. So that's a riot to Rabbi Yechanan. That's Nisa Shas Masos. The way and it's going Lechem upon him. The way the Reb Chaim is learning it, it's Tamid is always so it's Shabbos Tumah, also Masos. So it's right of Shimon Levi that it says Kabos and Shas Masos. Okay, now the next raya is Masnis Messiah to Rabbi, according to the gifts are changed, but the Gil Ephraim Shatter. So it's Masnis Messiah Rabbi Shimon Levi, and this is of course certainly going on the fire of the Mizbeach. Lo sichbe af masos. So the Isra being mechaber the fire on the Mizbeach even masos. It must be that the base makers is operative. That's not Mishkan is considered operative even when it's traveling, and therefore Lechem Abayis is not nifsal. According to the Girsa of Masnis Messiah Rabbi Yechanan, which we have in front of us, so only Hashem is back lo kabol lo sichbeh applies to Shas Masos, but not the Lechem Abayis. Lechem Abayis would be nifsal b'Shas Masos. Okay, so that's the again. We have the both Gersos. I'm going to read it one more time again to the Gersa of the Ephraim Shatar. So, which I think, like I said, the Shatar so brings a ride from the Safra. So, Masisa Messiah, Masisa Messiah, Masisa Messiah Ledain, Masisa Messiah Rabbi Yochanan, right? Tommy, again, the going Lechem upon him. Tommy, Philip Shabbos, but it's not Tommy, Shabbos Masos. Messiah Rabbi Shimon Levi, lo sich be'av masos. No, there's the Mishkan is operative even at the time of masos. That's why there's Isser of being mechaber Yeshagav Mizbech. And they maintain the fire at the time of the masos. So, where it says Shas Masos Mayos, you come up psachtar. They would put a tablet. It's kind of like an inverted bowl, a copper bowl, and to keep it burning underneath the bowl. Divrei Yehuda, which was even though there was a miraculous fire in the midbar, but nevertheless, ain't some kind of race. Rabbi Yerushalmi Abishas Masoyasu Medashinoso. No, at the time of the Masos, they would remove the fire. They would remove the ashes and clean off the mizbech. Shem says v'dishnuas hamizbech for parsula beged aron gamon. You says you remove the ashes and you put upon it when you're about to travel an argamon, purple colored cloth. If the mizbech is burning, when the purple garment not burn, which is just a the one who makes that taina. Because the miraculous fire can do many things, including not burn the purple cloth. So, in any event, Chaim points out that there seems to be the same machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan Shimon Levi is the machlekes Rabbi Shimon, right? Because Rabbi holds the fire's got to be burning b'shas masos, right? That means that Mishka is still active, and Rabbi Shimon says no, you extinguish fire b'shas masos, and then the Mishka is not considered active at that time. I guess according to Rabbi Shimon, they took the fire and maintained it in some firebox, but not on top of Mizbech because the Mishka wasn't active. So Ma Avalei Rabbi Yehuda, okay, was Rabbi Yehuda due to the fact that it was a purple cloth? Why didn't it burn? So so we said no. We put a keli on top of the fire between the fire and the purple cloth, so it wouldn't burn. Okay, Ma Makayim Rabbi Yehuda of additional zbech. So what's Rabbi Yehuda do? The pasuk says additional zbech seems to be that they remove the ash in the zbech. So v'yirvun. So he explains additional zbech means they satiate in mizbech. Like Am Medushne Oneg, right? The nation which is satiated with pleasures on Shabbos. Kind of Rabbi Yehuda ben Pazi, v'achav v'sava v'dashein. Right, so you'll be happy, eat and be satisfied, and dashein will be, like Kosi Revoya will be running over with 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 um, with with being supplied. The Chaim says they put a vorim uptorim on it, even at the time of limbs and fats, even at the time of the masos. Okay, Hajlach Perak Torah B'Kalfi. New Perak, Hotilo. B'Halach Aleph. Hotilo is the kaf es amachta. So he took out for the Kohen Gadol the kaf, which the spoon for the Torah says amachta, the shovel. The chavam lo chafnav, and he would put his hands full. Less than the kaf he put into the kaf. The spoon hagadol, if he goes bakon b'ktano, if he was a larger coin, according to his larger handful, according to a small handful, the kachoy sami dasan. So the sounds like the spoon was made to order. But there's other interpretations here of this line of Mishnah. And the Bnei Moshe says, the kachis midas and this is babli midasa. Farsh midasa b'chutz kach midasa b'fnim. The b'chutz b'chofem b'chofnav mamash. That's to do with his measure with his hand. Velobically and nausically, kach b'fnim shemar k'toras mina kaf l'to chofnav, when he used to pour the k'toras from the spoon into your hands. Lo emar b'kliya suyek midas chofnav. He would not use a kli which is made according to the meter of his chafnaim, el to chafnaf mamish. So the kli was actually generically didn't matter the size, because its meter was always and the meter was always measured by the chafnaim of the kohen gadol. Okay, not also machta yimino. He took the machta, the shovel with the coals in his right hand, and the kaf with the ktoras in his left hand. And we go to in the hechel. Until we reach the two parochos which distinguish between the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kodashim. So in the article we have a diagram. The two parochos were over here. See between the Kodesh. Sorry about that. Between the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kodashim. See at the bottom of the picture, there's it's folded back, and the top picture is folded back because he would go between the two parochos. So, between them was an amma, which he would walk between. No, there's only one parochos. So there was one parochos, not more. Okay, so the one asks. V'lo kvar tanisa, the thing we already learned before in the previous parak, not as a machta, but a rosh mizbech. He already has the machta. He took the machta with the mizbech to get the gecholim. So kini mas nisa. You're right. We have to amend our mishnah. Es hakaf es bezech. They took him out the kaf and the bezer. Says the Korbanei Mishani Kini Masnisa Kenu Masnisa Hotziu Lo Es HaKaf Es HaBezer Sheboya Nasuna Ktoris Lachbom Mitocho. The bezer hold the ktoris from which you do the chafina. But Tana call the bezer machta. The Tana, so you don't have to actually change the nusach of the Mishnah. The Tana is calling the bezer in which the ktoris is kept a machta. It's a synonym. Ma'u kaf. What's a kaf? It's a magus. As Korbanei says, "Come kaf gadol." It's it's a large spoon. Well, kafshem megisim bo sakder. It's like a spoon, I'm not sure it's like a ladle, but a large spoon with which you mix a soup or mix a pot. Amr Rabbi said Hadamara teaches us that the bezach was a kli cholu. Because in Tamar Kli Kodeshu, if you're going to say Kli Kodesh, you're going to say that the bezel is Kli Kodesh. Davar shekidesh b'kli, it says here kapara, but it should say Davar shekidesh b'kli niftek. It's like which is Kodesh b'kli redeemed. As the Korban explains, Intim Rosh basically Kodesh Ukash B'chi Dovish Kiddush B'Kli Nifta. But in Nam B'Shkolim, B'Perek we learn in B'Shkolim Shenan Yishar Me'er Shloshim Morim, whatever was left over from 3 morning Shloich Zichov Nav, which the Kohen Gadol's handful not hold. Hayu Noisim Linim B'Scharan. They give the Umnim as their payment, and then they would buy it back. So it was redeemed and brought back. If it was already Kodesh B'Kli, it couldn't be redeemed. Whatever he didn't take it to his Melech of Naim, that would remain Chol. So the Gemara says we actually have machlekes about this. These Spalgum, we have machlekes. Pitma beChulin. What did Pinuk Doris in Chulin? The Kli Chol. Rabbi Yosef China Amar Psula. Yosef China says it's possible. Rabbi Shimon ben Levi Amar Ksher, it's kosher. My type of Yosef China, what's the base of Yosef China's perspective? Kodesh Hu. It says Kodesh. Let's look up the pasuk. Have to tell you, the Torah Yerushalmi is a great advantage. Before the Torah Yerushalmi, I would never have looked up psukim like this, and that would be a great deficit. So it says here, "Haktorah shetaseh b'maskunta lo tasu lachem kodesh te'elachol la'Hashem." I think that's a pasuk we're talking about here. No, it's not. It doesn't say Kodesh Hu, that pasuk. So that's what you point out. That's a good Torah Yerushalmi. It doesn't say Kodesh Hu in the pasuk. It says Kodesh Tieh. So, but it's like the that's what Korban points out. Kodesh Tieh Lochem. So it's as if it says Kodesh Hu. Actually, it doesn't say Kodesh Tieh Lochem. It says Kodesh Tieh Locha. Okay, so even the Korban quote is not precise. It says we're dashing that pasuk. It says Kodesh Hu, even though it says Kodesh Tieh Lochem. So if you look in the art scroll, note F19 is actually a long discussion here, because it says in the Gemara Kodeshi, and the Korban it says Kodesh Tieh Lochem. And the pasuk says Kodesh Yelecha, so it's referring actually to this pasuk or to another pasuk, but the other pasuk to which it might refer to are not talking about the Ketores. So having Torah Yerushalmi not only gives you a pasuk, but it reveals to us a whole discussion here about what exactly the pasuk references. The Reb Chaim just skips over the whole issue here, but. We'll assume, like the art scroll says, and this note here that we're talking about this pasuk, which Torah Yerushalmi brings down, which is from Shmos Lamed Zayin. So again, let's see outside. Maita Rabbi Yosef China Kodeshi, according to the art scroll, the pasuk really is Kodesh Yelecha. Kodesh Yelecha, sorry. Shetei, here it says Hava Asa, which means to bring. The Korban Eder changed it to Bat Kodesh. So it has to be made in the from Kodesh and in the Kodesh, in the Beis HaMikdash. It's meaning it's concoction in the Beis HaMikdash. My time is Shimon Levi. What's the logic of Shimon Levi? So same pasuk. He learns, but he learns it differently. Kodesh meaning Kodesh Tieh Loch. To say they bought Michumas Salishka. We made outside the Beis HaMikdash. It has to be made by Chulin, in Chulin, but it has to be paid for by Chumas Salishka. Rabbi Yosef Bun said, I said Rabbi Yosef Chanina Kishmua. Yosef Chanina goes like Shmua, Rabbi Shimon Levi Rabbi Yechanan. Shimon Levi is going like Rabbi Yechanan. And the Tanina we learned, as the Mishnah says, Hamakdish L'chasav Varim Mulin Karbanos Tzibur. So the Mishnah talks about somebody who consecrates stuff which is private and personal, and the stuff is suitable for Karbanos Tzibur in his property. What's that stuff is suitable for Karbanos Tzibur? Rabbi Yochanan Mar Ketores. Yochanan says Ketores. So as the Korban says, I'm osing Ketores Michulin Bachutz, because it's coming from the personal property of this person, the regular person. So it's a Kash Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Okay, according to Rabbi Yochanan's interpretation, this Mishnah is difficult on Rabbi Yisrael. Says it can only be made by Kodesh. So Rabbi Yosef said, "Tipata Uma Mishal Beis Avtinas." the it really was made by Kodesh, but it was in the case, one of these cases where it was redeemed. Like Carmen says, he took this Torah back as his payment in order that we consecrate from the following year from the Trumas Alishka. The notes of the Motor Ktoris left over Ktoris. She's Vasa was left over from the year before. And they just buy it back. And they didn't have time to take it back. Actually, until he was Makdish on his own volition, while still in his personal property after redemption. Ulam Bakodesh not says, but really is made Bakodesh. This is what Yosef said. So the Gemara says again, Tipot the woman Misham B'Tevtzina, she went to B'Schar Ktoris, who took B'Schar Ktoris. Okay, so but according to Rabbi Yochanan, it seems that if you don't say like Rabbi Yoshia, so then Ktoris is made B'Chol. The Yisrina goes like Shmuel. The Yisrina is going like Shmuel. Dar Mechina B'Shem Shmuel Machdeshes also Kli Shares L'Kadosh. The Machdeshes, which the morning pestle that they use in order to grind the cross, had to be a Kli Kodesh. Okay, so we're going to go back at the issue tomorrow. But okay, so then how could they redeem it? It was made by Kodesh, right? So we opened our discussion to that, right? And said the Bezek had to be a Kli Chol, otherwise it couldn't redeem the Ktoris. So the Machtesh Kli Kodesh, how could they redeem it? How could they afterwards be redeemed? That's the way on next summit, so we'll stop here for today.